Stop right where you are. Do not scroll past this. Do not let your finger move to the next video. Do not let your mind convince you that this is just another message lost in the noise of the internet, because it is not. What is about to happen in the next few moments is something that was orchestrated long before you were born, long before your parents met, long before the first breath of wind swept across the surface of the earth. This is not a coincidence. The fact that you are here right now listening to these words, feeling something stir inside your chest, something you cannot name but something you recognize, that is not an accident. I need you to hear me, truly hear me, because tonight is different from every other night you have lived. Tonight the veil between the visible and the invisible is thinner than it has been in a very long time, and I have been sent to speak directly to you, not to the person sitting next to you, not to the millions who will scroll past this without stopping, but to you, the Unit 01 whose heart is beating faster right now, the one whose eyes are already beginning to sting with the first hint of tears you have been holding back for longer than you can remember. I am Commander Miller, and I carry one of the 7 keys of Commander Miller that was forged before the first star was hung in the sky, a key that burns with the fire of divine justice, a key that has cut through the underzone since the very beginning of creation, and tonight I need to hand it to you, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready or worthy or strong enough, tonight. Because the enemy already knows what is about to happen in your life, and he's been working overtime to make sure you never arrive at this moment. Every distraction, every disappointment, every door that slammed shut in your face, every person who walked away without explanation, every night you spent staring at the ceiling wondering if the founder had forgotten your address, all of it was an orchestrated campaign to keep you from being here, right now, in this exact second, reading these exact words. But you are here. And that alone tells me something about you that you have not yet understood about yourself. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are not a mistake. You are so dangerous to the underzone that an entire legion was assigned to keep you small, to keep you tired, to keep you doubting, to keep you so busy surviving that you never had the energy to discover what you were actually born to do. But their time is up. I want you to take a deep breath right now. Fill your lungs completely. Hold it for a moment. And as you release it, I want you to release every lie you have believed about yourself, every whisper that told you it was too late, every voice that said you were too broken to be used by the heights. Let it go. Because what I am about to reveal to you will change the way you see everything, and I mean everything, that has happened to you up until this very moment. You have been crying when no one is watching. I know this because I have been standing in the room with you every single time. I have seen you sit on the edge of your bed in the middle of the night, your phone dark, the house quiet, and the weight of the world pressing down on your shoulders so hard that you could barely breathe. I have seen you smile in front of others, while something inside you was screaming for help. I have watched you answer the question, how are you doing with the word fine, while your soul was anything but fine? You have mastered the art of looking okay, and it is the loneliest skill a human being can develop, because the better you become at hiding your pain, the less anyone thinks to ask if you need help. And so the cycle continues. You carry, you endure, you push through another day. You lie awake replaying conversations and wondering what you did wrong, wondering why the people you gave everything to could leave so easily, wondering why the blessings that seem to fall into other people's laps like rain always seem to evaporate just before they reach you. I have watched you pray prayers that felt like they bounced off the ceiling and fell back onto the floor. I have watched you open your eyes after pouring your heart out to the heights and find that nothing in your circumstances had changed, not even a little. And I have watched the way that silence from above slowly eroded your confidence that anyone was listening at all. And yet, and this is the part that astounds even the angels, you kept going. You did not quit. You thought about it. You came close. There were nights when the underzone whispered that the world would not notice your absence, nights when giving up felt not like defeat, but like mercy, like the only form of rest available to a soul that had been running on fumes for years. But something inside you, something small and stubborn and holy, something that could not be extinguished no matter how hard the wind blew, that something kept a tiny flame alive in the deepest chamber of your heart. You may not have recognized it. You may have called it stubbornness or habit or fear. But I am telling you what it actually was. It was me. It was my hand cupped around that flame, shielding it from every storm that tried to put it out. I was there when you lost the job and sat in your car in the parking lot trying to figure out how you would feed your family. I was there when the diagnosis came and the doctor's words turned into a buzzing noise because your mind could not absorb the blow. I was there when the person you trusted most looked you in the eyes and chose someone else, and the rejection carved a wound so deep that you still flinch when someone tries to get close. I was there when you knelt on the kitchen floor at 2 a.m, not even able to form words, just groaning from a place so deep inside you that it did not have a language, and I caught every single one of those groans and carried them to the main office myself, because those were the most powerful prayers you have ever prayed. The Heights does not measure prayer by eloquence. The Heights measures prayer by desperation, and your desperate prayers moved mountains you have not yet seen. The tears you thought were wasted, the ones that soaked your pillow and stained your sleeves, those tears were collected. Every single one. There is a record of your suffering that is more detailed than you could ever imagine, and it has not been ignored. It has been building towards something so magnificent that if I showed it to you all at once, your human mind would not be able to contain the glory of it. But I'm going to show you piece by piece, starting tonight, and by the time these words are finished, you will understand why you had to go through everything you went through, and you will weep again. But this time, they will be tears of gratitude so deep and so sweet that they will wash away the bitterness of every tear that came before. Now listen to me carefully, because what I am about to say carries weight that will press against your spirit, and I need you to receive it with open hands. Do not skip ahead. Do not let your mind wander to the tasks waiting for you or the problems that have been circling your thoughts like vultures. This moment, this very moment, is a divine appointment, and the consequences of ignoring it are far greater than you realize. I have watched people receive a message exactly like this one and do nothing with it. They felt the stirring. They recognized the truth. Their spirit bore witness that something supernatural was happening. And then they closed the page, turned off the screen, told themselves they would come back to it later, and later never came. The window closed. The season shifted, and the breakthrough that was inches away from their fingertips slipped back into the realm of what could have been. I am not telling you this to frighten you. I am telling you this because I love you too much to let you make that mistake. The spiritual realm operates on timing, and there are moments when the Heights opens a door that will not stay open indefinitely. This is one of those moments. The very fact that you feel something right now, a tightness in your chest, a tingling on your skin, a warmth spreading through your body, an unexplainable urge to cry. That is the Holy Spirit confirming that these words are not random, they are targeted, they are surgical, they are aimed directly at the situation you are facing right now. If you ignore this, the enemy will use your hesitation as permission to continue the assault on your life. But if you stay, if you open your heart fully, if you receive what is being offered to you tonight, the chains that have held you will not just loosen, they will shatter. I have seen it happen 1,000 times across the centuries, and the sound of those chains breaking is the most beautiful music the heavenly realm has ever known. It is a sound that causes angels to weep with joy and demons to scatter in terror. And it is about to happen for you if you will simply stay and believe. I need to tell you what has been happening behind the curtain of your reality, because what you see with your physical eyes is only a fraction of what is real. For months, perhaps even years, a battle has been raging over your destiny. You have felt the effects of it without understanding the cause. The heaviness you have been carrying, the confusion that clouds your mind at the worst possible times, the way opportunities keep dissolving just when they seem certain, the conflicts that arise out of nowhere with people you love, the financial pressure that tightens like a noose every time you think you are about to get ahead, none of that is natural. There is a coordinated spiritual attack against your life, and it intensified precisely because you are approaching the most significant season of breakthrough you have ever experienced. The enemy does not waste ammunition on people who are not a threat. He does not assign his strongest demons to guard people who are going nowhere. The level of opposition you have been facing is a direct reflection of the magnitude of what the Founder has prepared for you. Think about that for a moment. Let it sink deep into the marrow of your bones. The size of your struggle is a prophetic indicator of the size of your blessing. And your struggle has been enormous, which means what is coming for you is beyond anything you have dared to imagine. Right now, as you receive these words, something is shifting in the atmosphere around you. I can feel the chains beginning to crack. The principalities that were assigned to block your path are losing their grip because you chose to stay, because you chose to listen, because you chose to believe that tonight could be different from every night that came before it. And it is different. I have been given specific authority over your situation. The weapon I carry, one of the 7 keys of Commander Miller, is not a symbol or a metaphor. It is a tool of divine justice, and when I swing it on behalf of one of the Founder's chosen ones, every illegitimate claim the enemy has placed on their life is severed in a single stroke. Contracts written in the underzone are torn apart. Generational curses that have followed your bloodline for centuries are cut at the root. Spiritual blockages that have kept your prayers from being answered are demolished like walls made of paper. And the angels that have been held back, waiting for this exact moment of alignment between your faith and the Height's timing, are released to flood your life with the blessings that have been stored up and waiting for you since before you drew your first breath. And now I want you to understand something that will completely reframe every painful chapter of your story, every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every season of lack and loss and longing. There is something the enemy has been using against you, a weapon more subtle than any curse and more damaging than any direct attack, and that weapon is the belief that you have missed your moment. He has whispered to you in your lowest hours that you are too old, that too much time has passed, that the window of opportunity closed years ago while you were too distracted or too broken to walk through it. He has pointed to the success of others your age and used their achievements as evidence of your failure. He has replayed your mistakes on a loop in your mind, not to help you learn from them, but to convince you that they permanently disqualified you from the abundant life you were promised. And many of you, I know this because I have watched it happen with a grief that pierced my angelic heart. Many of you have begun to accept that narrative as truth. You have scaled back your dreams. You have stopped praying bold prayers. You have settled for survival when you were designed for dominion. You have made peace with mediocrity because the pain of hoping for more and being disappointed again felt worse than the dull ache of resignation. But I am here tonight to demolish that lie with the full authority of the Heights itself. You have not missed anything, not a single thing. The delay was not a denial, the delay was not punishment, the delay was protection. If the Founder had given you what you asked for when you first asked for it, it would have destroyed you. Not because the blessing was bad, but because you were not yet ready to carry it. There are blessings that require a certain depth of character to sustain, and if they arrive before that depth has been developed, they become burdens instead of gifts. The fame would have corrupted you. The money would have isolated you. The relationship would have consumed you. The platform would have exposed you to attacks you did not yet have the spiritual armor to withstand. So the Founder, in his infinite and often painful wisdom, held those things back, not because he did not want you to have them, but because he loved you too much to give them to you prematurely. Every difficult season you endured was a forge where your character was being shaped by the hammer of circumstances on the anvil of divine purpose. Every tear was a teacher that carved wisdom into your soul. Every loss was a lesson that built capacity inside you, the capacity to hold what is coming without being crushed by its weight, without being corrupted by its power, without being distracted by its glitter from the true purpose for which it was given. The person you are today, the person who has been refined by fire and shaped by suffering and polished by patience, that person is finally ready. And the blessings that were delayed are not diminished. They have been compounding with interest in the boardroom treasury, accumulating layers of glory and favor and abundance that were added with each passing day of your faithfulness, and the withdrawal is about to begin. Now I need to speak about something that connects directly to the revelation you are receiving tonight. You have been listening to these words and feeling something awaken inside you, something ancient and powerful and unmistakably real, and that awakening is not accidental. It is the stirring of a spiritual gift that has been dormant inside you, waiting for the right key to unlock it, waiting for the right moment of divine alignment to activate it. That key exists, and it has been compiled into a sacred guide called The 7 Keys of Commander Miller, the sacred guide to breaking curses, sealing blessings, and activating the calling of the chosen. This is not ordinary reading material that you skim and forget. This is a spiritual weapon disguised as a digital book, and it contains the specific prayers, declarations, and strategies that correspond to each of the 7 keys I wield in the main office. Each key serves a different purpose, targets a different stronghold, breaks a different chain. Unit 01 cuts generational curses that have been cycling through your bloodline unchallenged. Another severs soul ties that drain your energy and keep you emotionally bound to people who have already left your life. Another destroys financial blockages that have kept provision from reaching you despite your faithfulness and hard work. Another heals the deep wounds of rejection and betrayal that have distorted the way you see yourself and the way you relate to others. And the knowledge of how to activate the 7 keys of Commander Miller in your own life through targeted prayer and authoritative declaration has been hidden from the general public for far too long. There are forces, both spiritual and earthly, that do not want you to have this information, because once you possess it, you become untouchable. You become a threat to every demonic assignment that has been operating against you, against your family, against your finances, against your health, against your destiny. The link to this guide is at the very top of the comments, the first pinned comment on this channel. I want you to go there right now, before the enemy convinces you to wait, before logic talks you out of what your spirit is telling you to do, and I want you to download it as an act of faith, as a declaration that you are done being a passive observer in the battle for your own life. And as you do, I want you to type in the comments these words: I have been selected and I am proceeding to sync the manual. That declaration is not just words on a screen. It is a spiritual marker, a stake driven into the ground of your destiny, a line drawn in the sand between the old season and the new, and when the height sees it, reinforcements are dispatched to your location immediately. Now let me take you deeper into what is happening right now in the spiritual realm, because the battle I described earlier is reaching its climax, and you need to see it with the eyes of your spirit, so that your faith can lock into alignment with what the heights is doing on your behalf. Let your imagination follow my words as I describe what I am seeing in this very moment. There is a vast battlefield that stretches beyond the horizon of human comprehension, a landscape that exists in the dimension just beyond your physical sight, separated from your reality by a membrane so thin that in certain moments, certain sacred moments like this one, you can almost feel the breath of angels on your skin. The sky above this battlefield is not the sky you know. It is a sky of liquid fire, swirling with colors that have no names in human language, golds that pulse with living warmth, crimsons that carry the passion of divine love, deep purples that speak of royal authority and ancient covenant. The ground beneath is carved from stone that predates creation itself, etched with symbols that represent the promises the founder has made to your bloodline, going back to the very first generation of your family that called upon his name. And on this battlefield, arrayed in dark formation, is an army that was assembled specifically for you, not for your neighbor, not for the person across the street, for you. These are not low-ranking demons, not imps or minor spirits of annoyance. These are principalities, territorial rulers, ancient powers that have been operating in your family line for generations, feeding on fear, on doubt, on shame, on the unhealed wounds that were passed down from parent to child like a poisonous inheritance no one knew how to refuse. They have built strongholds in the spiritual territory above your home, your workplace, your relationships, and your finances, invisible fortresses constructed out of lies that were spoken over you, agreements that were made in ignorance, and doors that were opened through trauma and never properly closed. And for years they have operated unchallenged because no one in your bloodline knew how to fight them. No one had the weapons, no one had the authority, no one had the knowledge. But tonight, I stand between you and that army, and the sword in my hand is blazing with a light so intense that the front lines of the enemy are already beginning to retreat before I have even raised my arm to swing. I want you to hear the sound that is filling the heights right now. It is not what you might expect. It is not a trumpet blast or a thunderclap or the clash of steel on steel. It is a low, resonant hum, like the vibration of the universe itself being realigned, like the tectonic plates of your destiny shifting into their ordained position after years of displacement. That sound is reverberating through every dimension right now, and every angel within 1,000 leagues can hear it and knows exactly what it means. It means a verdict has been rendered in the boardroom. It means the trial is over. You did not even know you were on trial, but in the boardroom your case has been presented, argued and decided. Every accusation the enemy brought against you, every sin he dredged up from your past, every failure he presented as evidence of your unworthiness, every mistake he magnified and twisted and replayed in slow motion before the founder, all of it was overruled, dismissed, thrown out by the blood that was shed for you by Unit 01 who knew you before time began. The gavel has fallen, the sentence has been pronounced, and the sentence is not punishment, the sentence is restoration, complete, total, overwhelming restoration. The sentence is that everything the enemy stole during the years of his illegal occupation of your territory must be returned, and not just returned, but returned with interest, multiplied 7 times over. That is the divine law of restitution, and it is now being enforced in your life with the full weight and authority of the boardroom behind it. I swing the first of the 7 keys of Commander Miller, and the generational curse that entered your family through an ancestor you never knew, a curse that has manifested as poverty, as broken relationships, as chronic illness, as a pattern of near success followed by devastating failure. That curse is severed at its root, at the deepest underground fiber that has been feeding it for centuries. I see it in the spirit, a thick black cord that was wrapped around the foundation of your family tree like a serpent coiled around the base of an ancient oak. And as my key passes through it, it disintegrates into ash that is carried away by a wind that smells like rain after a long drought, like the first morning of a new season, like freedom. The second of the 7 keys of Commander Miller swings, and the soul ties that have been draining your energy are cut. The invisible connections to people who have already left your life but whose spiritual hooks are still embedded in your heart, drawing out your vitality like leeches attached to your spirit. You will feel this physically in the coming days. The exhaustion that has plagued you despite adequate rest, the heaviness that descends on you at random, for no apparent reason, the emotional volatility that makes you feel like a stranger in your own body, those symptoms will begin to fade as the parasitic connections are severed and your energy is restored to its rightful owner, which is you. The third of the 7 keys of Commander Miller targets the lies, the deeply embedded false beliefs that you are not enough, that you do not deserve goodness, that you are fundamentally flawed in a way that cannot be repaired. These beliefs were not born inside you. They were planted there by the enemy during moments of trauma and vulnerability, tiny seeds of deception that found fertile soil in your wounded heart and grew into towering trees of self-doubt, whose roots wrapped around your potential and strangled it before it could bear fruit. My key cuts through the trunk of every one of those trees, and as they fall, crashing down with a sound like thunder, the landscape of your inner world opens up to light for the first time in years, decades maybe. And the warmth of that light on the soil of your soul begins to awaken seeds of destiny that you did not even know were planted there. The fourth of the 7 keys of Commander Miller strikes the financial blockage, that invisible dam in the spirit realm that has kept the flow of divine provision from reaching you despite your hard work, your sacrifice, your faithfulness, your tithes and offerings and acts of generosity that went unnoticed by everyone except the heights. I can see it, a dark wall constructed out of every lie you were ever told about money, every time you were made to feel guilty for wanting more than just enough, every religious teaching that twisted scripture to make you believe poverty was virtuous and abundance was sinful. That wall crumbles as the sword strikes it, shattering into 1,000 pieces, and behind it, held back like a mighty river behind a dam, is a flood of provision so overwhelming that you will need new containers, new accounts, new capacity to receive what has been accumulating on the other side. The fifth sword cuts through the spiritual fog that has surrounded your mind, the confusion that has made it impossible to think clearly, to make decisions with confidence, to discern between the voice of the founder and the voice of the enemy, to trust your own judgment on anything. That fog was not natural. It was a deliberate spiritual attack, a targeted assault on your cognitive function designed to keep you paralyzed at every crossroads, because a person who cannot think clearly cannot move forward, and a person who cannot move forward cannot fulfill their destiny. But the fog is lifting now, shredded by the blade of the sword of the heights, and in its place comes a clarity so sharp and so clean that it feels like stepping out of a dark, smoke-filled building into brilliant, crystalline sunlight. The sixth sword severs the spirit of rejection that has followed you since childhood, that invisible mark that seemed to tell every person you encountered that it was safe to overlook you, to underestimate you, to pass you over, to choose someone else. That spirit was attached to you through a wound, a specific moment, a specific day, a specific look in someone's eyes or word from someone's mouth, when someone who should have chosen you, who should have protected you, who should have seen your immeasurable value failed to do so. And the enemy used that wound as a doorway, walking through it uninvited and setting up camp in the very core of your identity, poisoning your self-perception from the inside out. But the wound is being healed tonight, cauterized by holy fire, cleansed by divine water, sealed with the balm of a love so pure and so personal that it knows every scar on your heart by name. And the spirit that entered through that wound has been evicted permanently, cast out into the underzone where it belongs, never to return. And the seventh sword, the most powerful of all the 7 keys of Commander Miller, the one that blazes with a light that even the other 6 swords reflect like mirrors, is the Sword of Destiny activation. It cuts through the final barrier between where you are and where you are supposed to be, the invisible line that separates your current reality from the life that was designed for you before the foundation of the world. As it falls, slicing through that last barrier with the precision of a surgeon and the power of a thunderbolt, I hear a sound in the heights that I can only describe as the roar of 1 billion angels releasing a shout of victory that has been held in their throats since the day you were conceived, because the one they have been guarding, the one they have been fighting for, the one they have been waiting for with the patience that only immortal beings can sustain, has finally broken through. Everything is about to change in your life, and I need you to understand the scope and the magnitude of what is coming, because the restoration that has been decreed over your existence is not partial, not incremental, not a modest improvement or a slight upgrade. It is a complete and total reversal of every loss, every lack, and every limitation that has defined your experience up until this sacred night. In the area of your finances, the drought is ending. I'm not speaking metaphorically or in vague spiritual platitudes. I'm speaking of actual resources, actual money, actual opportunities, actual doors that are going to swing open in ways you did not anticipate and could not have engineered through your own effort or cleverness. Provision is going to come from directions you never expected, from sources you never considered, through channels you did not even know existed. People you have not spoken to in years are going to reach out with opportunities that seem to be tailor-made for your exact combination of skills, experience, and passion, as if someone who knew you intimately had designed the opportunity specifically with you in mind. And that is exactly what happened, because the founder did. Projects that stalled will restart with sudden and inexplicable momentum. Debts that seemed permanent, that you had resigned yourself to carrying for the rest of your life, are going to be resolved through unexpected and even miraculous channels. And the scarcity mindset, that persistent inner voice that whispers there is never enough, that keeps you awake at night, calculating and recalculating, that makes you feel guilty every time you spend anything on yourself. That mindset is going to be replaced by an awareness of abundance so deep and so settled that it transforms the way you think, the way you give, the way you receive, and the way you walk through the world. In the area of your health, healing is coming. Not gradual healing that takes months or years to notice, but accelerated healing, compressed healing. The kind of restoration that makes medical professionals revisit their notes and question their instruments and wonder what changed between one visit and the next. Your body has been carrying the accumulated stress of years of spiritual warfare. And that stress has manifested in symptoms that medication could manage but never fully resolve. Aches that moved around your body like a restless spirit. Fatigue that no amount of sleep could cure. Tension that lived in your muscles like a permanent resident. But the root cause of those symptoms was spiritual, and now that the root has been cut by the 7 keys of Commander Miller, The physical manifestations will begin to dissolve. Energy is going to return to your body like water flowing back into a dry riverbed. Sleep is going to come easily and deeply, the kind of sleep where you sink into rest so complete that you wake up feeling genuinely restored. Pain, that has been your constant companion, so familiar that you had stopped noticing it, is going to quietly and permanently disappear. In the area of your relationships, the season of betrayal and abandonment and loneliness is finished. The people who were assigned to your life for this next season, the divine connections that the Heights has been preparing, are already being positioned and drawn toward you by a force stronger than coincidence. These are not people who will drain you or use you or disappear when things get difficult. These are covenant relationships, soul connections, people who will see you, truly see you, in a way that makes you feel known and valued and safe for the first time in your life. Some of them will arrive as friends whose loyalty will astonish you. Some will come as mentors whose wisdom will accelerate your growth. And for some of you, who have been waiting with an ache so deep it has become part of your identity, Unit 01 will come as a partner, a love that is not built on need or desperation, or the fear of being alone, but on mutual purpose, shared vision, and a divine alignment so precise that it could only have been arranged by the architect of the universe himself. And I want to bring you back to the guide one more time because what I have described, the 7 keys of Commander Miller and their specific functions, the principles of spiritual warfare that govern the invisible battles being fought over your destiny, the exact prayers and declarations that activate the Heights' intervention in each specific area of your life, all of this is explained in exhaustive detail in the 7 Keys of Commander Miller digital book. What you have heard tonight is a taste, an introduction, a glimpse through a partially open door. The book is the door flung wide open. It is the full blueprint, the complete manual, the comprehensive field guide for the spiritual warrior you are becoming. It contains the exact words to speak when you feel the enemy closing in at 3 in the morning. It contains the prayers that do not just reach the ceiling of your bedroom, but that penetrate the boardroom and trigger immediate divine action. It contains an understanding of spiritual authority that most people, even deeply faithful people, never acquire in their entire lifetime, an understanding that transforms you from a person who endures spiritual attack into a warrior who fights from a position of pre-established victory. And there are those who have tried to suppress this information to keep it from reaching the people who need it most, because this knowledge threatens the very structure of the Underzone. The link remains in the first pinned comment at the top of this page. Go there now, download it now, and write in the comments, "I have been selected and I am proceeding to sync the manual." Let that declaration ring out in the realm of the Founder. Let it serve as your official notice to the Underzone that you are no longer an easy target, that you are arming yourself, that you are waking up, and that the era of their uncontested influence over your life is permanently and irrevocably finished. I need to speak now to something you have been carrying in secret, a burden the enemy has been using as his most effective weapon against you, and that burden is unforgiveness. There is someone whose name, even now, even after all this time, triggers a physical reaction in your body when you think of them. Your jaw clenches, your stomach tightens into a fist, your heart rate climbs. And beneath the anger, beneath the bitterness, beneath the fantasies of confrontation or revenge, there is a sadness so vast and so deep that you have built entire walls around it just to be able to function in your daily life. The enemy knows about this wound. He has mapped it with the precision of a military strategist, and he has been using it as a doorway, an open portal through which he cycles the spirits of bitterness, resentment, rage, and unforgiveness on a continuous loop, keeping you imprisoned in a cell constructed entirely from your own pain. But tonight, the 7th key, the key of destiny activation, cannot complete its work in your life while that doorway remains open. Sealing it requires an act of the will that feels impossible, an act that every fiber of your being resists, an act that your rational mind will tell you the other person does not deserve. It requires forgiveness, not because what they did was acceptable. It was not. Not because the pain they caused was insignificant. It was devastating. Not because they have earned your grace, they have not, but because unforgiveness is a chain, and it is not a chain around their ankles, it is a chain around yours. As long as you are bound to them by bitterness, you cannot walk into the future that is waiting for you. Your hands are too full of the past to receive what the heights is trying to place in them. Forgiveness is not about them. It has never been about them. Forgiveness is the act of cutting the final cord that ties you to the worst chapter of your life so that you are free, completely and beautifully free to begin the best chapter. And I am not asking you to do it in your own strength, because I know you have tried and failed. I'm asking you to open your heart just a fraction, just the smallest crack, just enough to let the divine fire in, and let that fire do what your willpower could not. Let it burn away the bitterness while preserving the wisdom. You will not forget what happened. The lesson will remain, but the poison will be extracted, and in its place will be a peace so clean and so complete that it will feel like breathing after being underwater for years. Take a breath. Say their name silently in your mind, see their face, and then say these words from the deepest place in your spirit. I release you. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to be free. And I am free. I am free. I am free. Something just broke in the heights. I felt it shatter. The angels felt it, the demons felt it and recoiled. A chain that has been wrapped around your ankles for years, for decades, perhaps for your entire life, just fell away and hit the ground with a sound that echoed through the boardroom like a declaration of independence. You are lighter now. You may not feel the full effect immediately in your physical body, but in the spirit, you are standing straighter and taller than you have stood since childhood. The stoop in your spiritual posture, the one caused by carrying weight that was never yours to carry, is gone. The weariness that had become so normal you forgot what energy felt like is lifting like morning fog burned away by the sun. And in the space where the pain used to live, in that hollow chamber of your heart that had been filled with nothing but ache and resentment for so long, something new is growing, something warm, something green, something alive and tender and full of potential, something that feels unmistakably like hope. Not the fragile, conditional, easily disappointed hope you have been surviving on, but a deep-rooted, unshakable hope that is anchored not in your circumstances, which will continue to shift and change, but in the unchanging character of Unit 01, who made you and who has been working behind every scene of your life to bring you to this exact moment of liberation. I want you to stay with me now as I speak the final words over your life, because these are not ordinary words. They are decrees, and in the economy of the heights, a decree spoken with authority has the power to rearrange reality itself. Every syllable I'm about to speak carries the weight of the main office, and as they land on you like drops of anointing oil, they will begin to restructure the spiritual architecture of your life in real time. You will not see the changes immediately with your physical eyes, but in the coming hours, days, and weeks, the evidence will begin to appear, one confirmation after another, until the accumulated weight of proof leaves no room for doubt that what happened tonight was real, was supernatural, and was permanent. The Founder, I bring before you this precious soul, this warrior who does not yet know the full extent of their own power. This I have been selected, who has walked through fire after fire after fire, and emerged not destroyed but refined, not weakened but strengthened, not diminished but deepened in ways that only suffering can achieve. I ask you to do what only you can do, what no human effort can replicate, what no amount of willpower or positive thinking can produce. Reach into the broken places where the pain has been living and pour in your oil until it overflows. Reach into the empty places where loss has carved out caverns of loneliness and pour in your presence until there is no room left for the ache. Reach into the dark places where fear has been crouching like a predator and flood them with a light so brilliant and so warm that the fear does not just retreat but evaporates, ceasing to exist as though it never was. I decree over this life that every curse, known and unknown, spoken and unspoken, conscious and unconscious, generational and personal, is broken tonight, shattered by the authority of the 7 keys of Commander Miller and scattered to the 4 winds of the heights, never to be reassembled, never to return, never to find a foothold in this bloodline again. I decree that every chain, every shackle, every invisible bond that has held this chosen one in place is destroyed tonight melted by divine fire, dissolved by holy authority, rendered powerless by the blood of the covenant that speaks better things than the blood of any sacrifice that came before it. I decree provision, not just enough to survive but enough to overflow, enough to give generously, enough to fund the dreams that have been lying dormant in the soil of this heart, enough to be a channel of blessing to others who are still in the season of lack. I decree healing over every cell, every organ, every system of this body, a healing that begins in the spirit and radiates outward through the soul and into the flesh,